Welcome back to the D1Softball podcast, part of the Learfield Family and Varsity Network. I'm Jenna Becerra with my co-host Amanda Lorenz. And before we jump in, reminder that when you're out of town and want to keep up with live college sports, be sure to download the free Varsity Network app available for both Apple and Android. Get your games on the go with the Varsity Network app, especially for women's sports because everyone watches them. But Amanda, this is our last episode of the D1Softball season. I'm having a hard time believing it. I don't know about you.
It flew by.
It really did. It did. But with so much great stuff going on, especially at the Women's College World Series, and we'll get into all of that. So for today's lineup, we'll take a quick look at the final top 25, then get into a Women's College World Series recap, quick AUSL check-in, and our interview with today's guest, Joley Mitchell from Texas, and of course, our final plays of the week and win and whiff of the week. All right, Amanda, are we ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, let's start with the final top 25. These are always interesting just because, we say all the time how the rankings don't really matter except for whatever ends up at the end of the season. And when we say that, we're actually talking about where you finish as a group, more so than the poll, but some of that is reflected in this poll. So some highlights, just obviously the Longhorns finished the season in the same place they started it, which is right at number 1. And the national runner-up, Texas Tech, is at number 2 after their first World Series appearance in program history. You'll see the rest of the World Series field fill out the remaining top 8, including Ole Miss there in their first ever appearance. And then the 4 teams actually that were not ranked at the end of the regular season that snuck back in there in this final poll are number 15 Liberty, number 16 Georgia, number 23 Oklahoma State, and number 24 UCF. The first 2 I mentioned went to Supers. All of them went to their respective regional finals. So the SEC leading the way with 12 ranked teams. ACC has 5, Big 12 4, Big 10 3, and then Conference USA with 1, and that's Liberty representing the only mid-major. So taking it all in, Amanda, what are your just initial thoughts as we look at that at the end of the year?
If I'm a Liberty fan, being behind Texas A&M, that's my initial thought. But other than that, I think it's just you have to judge. There's always an end to every race, and so this was the end, and so you really just have to go on how you finish the season, no matter of talent level or anything. So obviously, those top 8 finishers are going to be from who ended at the College World Series.
Absolutely. Number 14, A&M, to your point, they actually bumped Alabama out of the top 16 in terms of the teams who went to super regional, since A&M did not make it out of their regional. Alabama was at number 17, even though they did go on to a super. So that is interesting. And this is also, of course, the average of multiple polls that are sent in. Sure. So keeping that in mind. But I agree with you. I would say the 4 unseeded teams in the top 16 are interesting too. And 2 of them being in the top 10 with Nebraska at number 10. Mm-hmm. And then the fact you and I have talked about Clemson a lot, the first team outside the World Series field at number 9 after the supers they had and the ACC tournament. Those were a few things that stood out to me. But of course, we know it all ended in OKC for the top 8. So with that being said, let's roll right into the Women's College World Series recap. I mean, where do we even start? To me, I would just ask you, this might possibly be the most unhinged Women's College World Series that we've ever seen. But do we think it was also maybe the best?
Yeah, I had that written down. I had one of the most entertaining World Series of all time. I think it was so entertaining, so fun to watch. You never knew what was going to happen. It was like so unpredictable.
It was insane. And you're right, entertaining is definitely the right word. And I guess not a surprise considering all the craziness that we saw during the regular season. Like that did sort of play out and culminate the way, not that we would have expected, because I don't think a lot of these things we could have expected, but we expected maybe some craziness, and we definitely got that.
Yep.
I'm going to just rattle off a few of the things, and we'll get into some of them, but this is just an initial list. So obviously program first, the first natty for Texas, and Women's College World Series appearances for people like Texas Tech and Ole Miss. The lights going out in the middle of a game. Reminded me of Pac-12 after dark days. Stealing home, missing home plate, and then the whole Appendix G thing, an exploding ball of dirt, swinging during an intentional walk, running through stop signs, video reviews, obstruction calls, extra innings, walk-offs, fighting down to the very last out, and even friends going head-to-head. Like, this is just an initial list of what we got out of the World Series. I don't really know if anything was missing, to be honest.
It was, I'm still, like, my mouth is still dropped over Reese swinging in the national championship on an intentional walk and a 3-0 count. Like, the confidence that takes, like, I simply could never. I was watching in awe, like, and it was literally the biggest swing of her career. That swing won Texas a national championship. That was the difference. Because with an executed ball in that situation, Texas Tech is our 2025 national champions. So it's really crazy that was the play that decided the series.
To boil it down like that, I think you nailed it. Like, that one play. And that's why we say it only takes one, right? It takes one pitch, one swing.
Insane.
It's crazy. I feel like with Texas in particular, obviously moments like that.
Yeah.
Tegan being the most outstanding player, not giving up a single earned run. I mean, that's just GOAT-like behavior, like that was
collected.
Yes. That is next level. And she just felt like she was in another place in a good way. Mm. What stood out to me for the Longhorns is really on the mental side, because, they had not beat OU in the state of Oklahoma ever since Mike White had become head coach. And then they beat OU. That felt like the pivot or the turning point in that moment earlier in the winner's bracket to me. But then it was like, okay, but how do you handle that success? Because they hadn't been in that situation. They take on a Carlin Pickens with Tennessee after that. And then they beat Nyjah ultimately in the Champ Series. So to me, that they got over whatever hump there was. And that's what made the difference from my view.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch them continue to get better as the World Series went on. Like, they just kept building momentum, and long time coming. Like, really a huge congratulations to the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah. Huge congrats. And I would say huge congrats to Texas Tech too. I mean, just making history in so many ways. Nyjah Kennedy, I mean, I don't know if we even need to really expand on that, because just that name alone represents enough, and the hundreds of pitches that she threw was absolutely incredible.
So many pitches.
Like, and everyone's like, she almost did the entire thing, like the entire postseason. She was so close till that last game 3.
Yep.
Incredible. And we just don't see aces like that anymore, like the Taryn Moat days. So that was just impressive in itself.
It was really impressive. And she looked like, especially this year, she looked very lean, like her body, she's always looked so strong and powerful. Yeah. But I would love to ask that question of, like, if she had changed anything, or if it was just like a new place, new strength coach, new things, because I wonder if that had anything to do with, like, just the way that she was able to continue to perform all year long. Like, she looked so strong, so in shape. And it was, like, really fun to watch her compete and, like, not know that she threw all 7 innings the day prior. Like, she never looked like she skipped a beat until that last game, obviously. But that was the only time. Like, it was so impressive to watch her. And I would love to hear more about how she put her body in that position, because it was really impressive.
I agree. Her endurance definitely went to another level all around. And she was doing more too. She was hitting too. Yeah. And all of those things.
Had a lot on her plate, and she handled it beautifully.
Yeah, definitely. I have to give a shout out to their fans too, because they were loud. Even in game 3, when there was run rule sort of possibility there, I mean, any little thing that Texas Tech did, the fans were on their feet screaming, like that feeling. So cool. And you wonder, it's been so long since OU hasn't been in the Champ Series. I was like, I wonder how it's going to be. They did not disappoint. They showed up. It was really nice to see.
So cool. So awesome.
Yeah. And then, of course, Patrick Mahomes showing up with his wife, of course. I mean, just that kind of support across sports, and as well as a man, right? Supporting women's sports in a lot of ways, as him and his wife do. Partial owners, I think, of the Kansas City team for the NWSL. That was just really cool to see. Everybody was wondering if he would, and he did, right? So I think showing up is a big deal.
Twice.
That's right. I did ask Raider Red, their mascot, if Nyjah has a better arm than Patrick, and he said yes. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Underhand for sure.
Yes, I know, right? I thought there was going to be some hesitation. No hesitation. He was like, yes, immediately. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
So I wonder, we'll see if that ever gets back to him. He might have some things to say. And them also beating Oklahoma. But this is an Oklahoma team. Like, the standards, you and I have talked about this, are so high that coming off of a 4-peat, I just have to give them credit to go to the semifinal with essentially a new team almost entirely. I just don't think a lot of people can relate to the mental load that they had to bear after a 4-peat like that. And I want to give them their flowers, because even though they didn't get there in the end, like we're so used to seeing, what they did was still pretty impressive this year, including the SEC championship.
Yes, no, more than just pretty impressive. I was like so blown away with obviously the standard they have created in their program, but also to have like so many new faces come in and do their very best to live up to that standard. They did such a beautiful job. They got better as the season went on. They had still that Sooner magic that we saw with down to their last strike, and Abby Dayton hits a home run, where probably the one person in the lineup that you're like, woof, well, at least this girl won't hit a home run. Like, what a swing against Nyjah Kennedy in the World Series to get her team going. But I mean, yeah, I can't say enough about how impressive it is that they were able to do what they did with an entire new team. Obviously still so talented, like not discrediting that at all. It was just the experience piece, right? Like, we are used to them having so much experience and being in there and knowing the ins and outs of the World Series. And this group definitely did not, but they looked like it.
Yeah. That's something Patty talked about too. She's like, you don't have to win a 5th national championship, right? It's about this team. I just think she and the coaching staff handled it really well too this year.
Obviously. Yes. Yeah. And I loved watching, she's my teammate now, but Sam Landry on the mound was just so refreshing. And then obviously seeing her and Coach Glasgow have that special moment after their game, just really, really special and cool.
Absolutely. Those are the stories. Those are my favorite. The stories, the journeys that people have taken, what those relationships are like, her having played for him. And that was something Patty gave her credit for too. Like, how many emotions she was feeling in that game when they went head to head. Like, those are those things that aren't in a box score, but that were so present during that game.
Totally.
Yeah. And then, of course, how do we not talk about Carlin Pickens with Tennessee? Beating her own record for fastest pitch. Come on.
She'd be slinging that thing. I can't wait to see her hit 80 next year.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming.
Easily. I think it was 79.4, right? This last time.
And we also are not talking about how people are hitting that.
Right? So shout out to hitting coaches on timing and all of that stuff.
If you would have told me that there was a pitcher in the World Series pitching over 76, 77 miles an hour consistently, and she's not winning every game.
Yeah.
Like, that's also the insane part, is that the hitters are actually hitting her and she's not winning every game.
It's true. She only gave up, I think it was 6 home runs before the Women's College World Series all year. And then there were around that amount that she gave up in the World Series. Of course, these are the best of the best, right? This is the last 8 standing, but still.
Totally. And I would love someone to prove me wrong if possible, but I don't think that any of those home runs were off of the pitch that she throws at that velocity. I do think they were all lower velocity, like more. Her rise ball, I think, is a little bit slower than her down ball. Her down ball is the one that's hard. I don't think anybody hid that one out, and it was the rise ball, but still, like, you still have to put bat to ball and be on time.
I think we've talked about this, but the breaking the record initially against Brielis, doing it against Nija, like just the stepping up, the mental part of that is also amazing.
So cool.
Because I do think she sometimes, somehow, it's crazy, gets lost in the Nija Jordy Ball conversation,
Totally.
and she shouldn't. You know, she definitely deserves her own attention because what she's doing, and the fact that they're all in the same class. So we talked about this too, and going to be seniors next year is insane.
Going to be a fun AUSL draft class.
Oh my gosh, next year, Amanda.
Let's
go. Going to be some of your teammates and or opponents. It's crazy. It's insane. UCLA stood out to me too, not just because of, Appendix G and some of the stuff that we were talking about. Although I think they would say, as a program with the high standard that they have, missing home plate, getting home stolen on them, they have some things that they're going to work on.
Yeah.
I think knowing them though, like those things are never going to happen again. Just knowing how they operate as a program, and their 33rd Women's College World Series.
Yeah, totally. I think super impressive that they made it. They won a super regional on the road. I can't remember the last time that they had to do that. It's been a while for them. So obviously still competing and being the UCLA that we know. But yeah, unfortunately for them, what stands out for me is only missing home and the steal of home. Yeah. Home plate.
Yeah. We'll get into that more, but that was the thing. It's going viral for not the reasons you would like to go viral at the Women's College World Series. I do want to give a shout out to Kanaya Bragg, who went yard off Nija, like on a ball at her eyeballs too. Just the absolute fearlessness from a freshman like that, just going for it on the biggest stage. I think they had moments like that they'll obviously try to build on from here. But it was interesting seeing them go up against Oregon too. We talked about that, a lot of the conference head-to-head matchups. But Oregon in a general sense, I think softball fans feel good about where the program's at. The first time in Oklahoma City in the better part of a decade, but they seemed like they had a sense that they knew that they belonged there. Yeah.
It was so fun to watch them compete and be there. And I think that this Oregon program is in such a great spot and going to only continue to get better. It's like, it was really fun to watch them compete this year.
Yeah. Patty Gasso said it too. Obviously she knows Melissa Lombardi really well from the 20 plus years that she was on staff at OU, but she was like, if you're not investing in Melissa Lombardi, you're not paying attention, because the journey that this program took to get to this point is not easy. I mean, they basically essentially started over as a group when she came in. And I think, whether it was Lindsey Grine throwing how she throws, Kylie Shar just like wheeling around the bases, Desiana Patman just continuing to be clutch in the postseason, like you just saw the confidence.
So good. Loved it.
And I will say some of the best press conferences that I've ever seen from her. Like she had this balance of Lombardi was just laser focused, but also like understood the big picture at the same time. Just like she's been there before, right? As a player and as a coach with OU and stuff. So you could just feel that. And I think it reflected on the rest of the team. But also got to talk about your Gators, Amanda.
Yeah.
What was it like watching them, though, knowing you're about to start your pro season, of course, but you're tuning in. You're Gator for life.
Yeah, I think, obviously I feel their whole season, their offense was what got them to the Women's College World Series. So it was a little disappointing to see just the lack of offensive production at the World Series. But as an alum and a super fan, obviously I want them to win every game. And so unfortunately, very sad with how it ended, but also any season that you end in Oklahoma City is definitely not a disappointment. So the fact that they were there first is amazing, but obviously need to win some games in Oklahoma City.
Yeah. I mean, a number 3 overall seed going 2-0 was not what anyone would have guessed based on the season they had.
Totally.
All of those things. But I will say, to me, from the outside looking in, you're the Gator, right? But there seems to be the ones where it's the right fit, like a Kendra Falvey getting so emotional afterwards about being a Gator and how it's changed her life. It might not be for everyone, but it's not supposed to be, right? Like every program is supposed to, whoever fits, and that's who it's right for. And that's why we talk about finding the right fit. But that kind of stood up to me as well.
Oh, that is perfectly said. And that means a lot to me. I think that it is absolutely, I think every person that has been through their program feels this way, but I think it's absolutely a privilege to go to the University of Florida and to wear that jersey. And if you don't want to, go, leave, and they will find people that do and that are true Gators. And it was beautiful to see Kendra Falvey and the way that she talked about her career and how she's grown so much. She came in as a not confident, scared little girl and left as one of the most confident women I know, ready to take on real life. She got coached a lot. She dealt with a lot of, dealing with failure and a lot of the ups and downs. And she is ready. So I am a little disappointed that she's Canadian and will probably be competing for a gold medal in 2028 with Team Canada, but she's a difference maker. And I'm so excited that I got to experience her as a Gator. And I know all Gator fans are going to miss her for sure.
That's hysterical, first of all. You're like, dang, it sucks she's Canadian. That's hilarious. But yes, I mean, I think she's a great representation of exactly everything you're talking about, for sure. And we're going to miss seeing her in center field in the blue and orange as well. And then last but definitely not least, Ole Miss, man. Yeah. Slugging their way to Oklahoma City to get there, but definitely want to give credit to our most recent podcast guest with Aaliyah Binford making the All Women's College World Series team. I don't think she allowed earned runs either during her double-digit innings pitched in Oklahoma City. That's pretty cool.
The maturity piece sticks out for me. I mean, this is her second stop, obviously, last year of her career, and she gave everything that she had. She let everything, she spilt everything out there, and it was really fun to watch her maturity come. Like, you could really see that it was her first time, but it did not seem like her first time. It was really fun to watch her thrive and compete. She's so talented. She
really is. And just the vibe from Ole Miss. And it starts with people like her. And she talked about it. She's like, yeah, keep betting against us, just thriving on that. The alums being there for them and for Texas Tech too, being so locked in and engaged and just proud. It was also the first beer snake I've ever seen at the Women's College World Series.
I love that.
It was so funny, like them stacking them up and just the wigs on top of it, owning it. I was like, you know what? That's what the fandom's all about.
I love it so much.
And they've really built a foundation to go forward for that Ole Miss program. I mean,
yes, for sure.
I can't wait to see what happens. And we know with all of these things, obviously there's transfer portal movement right now with a lot of these teams. But we're talking about where the programs were at this moment in time in Oklahoma City and what they've laid down for the future, essentially. There's going to be a ton more things changing before next season, and we can get into that next year. But what they've done at this point, I think just all 8 teams, really fantastic seasons.
Totally.
Yeah. But you know what, Amanda, I'm also always curious on the career after college, which you're in the thick of right now. I can't believe you've been a pro for the better half of a decade. But let's check in quickly on AUSL. I mean, to think that rookies like Corby Otis and Sam Landry are going straight from Oklahoma City to starting their pro careers, how has it been just welcoming them, first of all?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I think that it's probably been a little bit of a whirlwind for them, but they're pros, so they've handled it great. It's been so exciting and exciting to have the next round of pros in our system.
And just the experience so far. We've talked about this traditional league format and how excited we were and that you were for it. But now that you've started to actually dip your feet in, the first series out of the way, what has it really been like?
It's been so much fun. It's been ran like really, I can't say enough about our staff and how well everything has been going. They've done everything possible to make it as easy as possible for us with traveling and all of it. But we got in the elevator after game one, me and my teammates, and we looked at each other, especially like the older, we have more of a veteran team. So have been in the Athletes Unlimited space for a little bit. And they were like, gosh, I don't even know what I did today. All I know is that we won. And it is so fun to not care about what we did like individually, because we're no longer worried about the point system and where we are on the leaderboard. All we care about is winning the game, which is just the best.
I did hear you talk about that when you were mic'd up, which I think it's cool that AU is still doing some of those innovative things, by the way, even though it's a traditional format. Like you mic'd up in the outfield was so cool. But yes, you talking about like that team aspect, and you guys did a really good job in Athletes Unlimited the way it was with the point system before of somehow coming together every week. Like you still felt that team chemistry, but it does feel like from the outside perspective at another level now.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. I've been on cloud nine, and it's been so fun to play team softball and then be a part of, something new.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say too, like to give the Volts, their fair due. What are some of your favorite things about your team now?
Oh gosh, I think we are just a really tough lineup from top to bottom. So it's been really fun to be in an infectious environment like that of some elite hitters. But I've loved our personalities. Like it's been really fun to go to the field each day and get after it with them. Like we have just a really good mix of personalities, and I'm having so much fun and I'm laughing a lot. And then obviously we're playing good softball too, which is fun as well.
Yeah. And knowing that the MLB is backing you all, that announcement was so exciting. But even seeing on social media, like they are sharing content, right?
Yeah.
Like they are engaged.
Mm-hmm.
That is something we haven't really had before in this sport to this level. How does that feel?
It's been so cool to see their support. I feel like each time it shows up on my social media, I'm like shocked every time, but it's just so cool that they are not only like seeing us and supporting us, but really like putting their money where their mouth is and like doing it both with like a financial backing, but obviously supporting us on their channels, whether that's MLB Network or just on social media. But it's been really cool just to see them uplift our sport, which we've needed for a long time. Like the talent and the experience and the passion has always been there, but like the resources always have not. And it really feels like everything is coming together this time. So I'm just really excited for the future of our sport and all of the rookies soon that will be a part of it and hopefully be a part of it for a long time.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting to watch. I've been so fired up having it pulled up, watching the games ever since it started and even going to press conferences virtually afterwards and things like that. Like it has been so fun just from that perspective too.
Awesome.
But yes, the talent obviously that has already started to and will eventually continue to go to AUSL definitely starts in the college ranks. And our guest today, we are so excited to welcome because she just won a natty. So let's talk to her. We are so excited to welcome in our guest today, Joley Mitchell, national champion in college softball. First of all, Joley, congratulations. It was your first Women's College World Series win at the end. How are your emotions right now?
Well, I mean, I'm really happy that I got to do it with this team. We really do love each other, and like it sounds cliche and all, but we really were working towards this goal. So I'm really happy, and I'm glad that I get to share it with these girls.
Just so surreal, I'm sure. But being the first, like how good does it feel just to know that this group was the one to do it?
I mean, we would have been the group. We've gone through a lot of adversity, especially the back half of the season. So it was pretty cool seeing us get it together there at the end of the year. But yeah, it is really special, especially for Coach White as well.
Totally.
When you got back to Austin also, what was that experience like, seeing the support that you have? And when did it all sink in at all for you? Has it?
Yeah, I think it definitely has at this point. I mean, it's been a little bit of time and it's kind of, I'm driving around and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm a national champion, like just random things like that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, the support that we have is just unreal. I mean, when we had our celebration, when we returned, the stands were full and there were tons of people out on the field. And so it was really neat just to see that everybody had an opportunity to come congratulate us as soon as we got home.
Does the celebration stop, or like, are we still going?
I'd say it stopped a little bit. I mean, it is kind of cool, like just like hopping around like in town the last couple of days, and people are like, "Oh my God, like congrats, like it's so cool. We're so proud of you guys. Thanks for bringing it back to Austin." But yeah, just kind of like with us, I think it's just like, okay, we've accomplished our goal and life goes on.
Well, I know Matthew McConaughey is probably still celebrating. He was definitely with you guys in spirit.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. We actually tried to like nag our athletic director to, get Matthew to come to the games, but I'm sure he's just a busy guy. But yeah, it was pretty cool just seeing him tweet about it and knowing that he's just watching our games.
So cool. Thought maybe he might make an appearance at the celebration.
Same.
Yeah. I don't know. He's a busy guy, I'm sure. So it's okay.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's okay. We'll hold it to him. Maybe
Yes,
next
for
year.
sure.
Maybe next year. Do you have like a favorite moment of the postseason? Obviously winning in the final out, but do you have like a favorite moment from this postseason that kind of stuck out to you, just that you'll hold on to and you want to bottle it up forever?
I think outside of being like in a game was us after a SEC tournament, and we came back that Tuesday and we said, okay, like what do we need to do? And I think it was a very inclusive talk and everybody had some input. And I pretty much sat there and told them that this is the reason I wanted to be here. The 22 team fought so hard through adversity all year and ended up making it to the Champ Series. And so we love each other so much, this group does. And so I said, if there's anything that group can do, we can do it 10 times better. In play, I would say probably the inning against Clemson in the second game, and I believe is the bottom of the eighth. They had second and third no outs, and we're like, wow, this is it right here. This is one pitch is going to change our season forever. And so kind of had to go out there and prepare myself a little bit, but yeah, pushing through that. And Tegan just had a great, outstanding postseason anyway. And so just seeing her work in those innings like that was really neat.
Such a team win. And I know you all talk about your team camaraderie, but I know there were some personal just accomplishments that you're able to reach too. You said your dad was your coach growing up. I talked to you and your mom about the multiple home run balls that she was able to get because of that. What is it like to have a personal dream like that from when you were a kid actually realized?
I think a big thing is looking back now, I wasn't into like the recruiting and stuff like that, but I would always watch the College World Series every year, and I ended up going in 2013. And so that was pretty neat. And so I never really thought that I would have the opportunity to be there. And so then after I went to Notre Dame and I decided I was going to transfer here, and this became my ultimate goal, it was really cool just to see it all unfold so quickly. So getting here, going to the World Series last year and not getting the result that we wanted, but we knew that we were going to be a better team this year, and we knew what we needed to do as a whole since we were going to have most of the team returning. Was really cool just to see it unfold, just within a year. But yeah, I'm really happy that I got to do it with this group and I got to do it with this staff.
We talked about it a little bit in the podcast, but obviously Reese's huge swing during an intentional walk, I think, left probably the softball world just thinking she's the most confident human of all time. Like, it was just the coolest thing. Talk about your emotions during that swing and what you thought, or even the at bat of just saying like swing, because the pitches were obviously close, but easier said than done, as hitters know.
Yeah, for sure. I have a really good relationship with Reese, and so we're always, if we're kind of both in a slump, we're like just always kind of having that look with each other. And so I know that Reese was, struggling at the World Series, but she's being a really great teammate. And so I thought I'm just going to be a great teammate for Reese. And Reese really does have confidence in herself, even if she doesn't want to admit it. And so during that time, I think like the first pitch, we were like, okay, like, yeah, and which I kind of expected it before I even like stepped out of the dugout. So it was in the scenario where I'm like, okay, Reese is going to intentionally walk, I'm going to hit. So just kind of watch out there, and then they're starting to intentionally pitch to her. And the second pitch was really close, and Coach Singh was in the cage in the dugout, and he's like, swing it. Let's coach, just swing it. And I'm like, is he for real right now? Like, but he's right. I mean, and we had to take that risk. And that's the thing we talked about after the game was if we don't take risks like that, we don't win this ball game. And so I think it was also a moment for the team just in the last 2 games, just saying, have no fear. That's been one of our big things this year is not being fearful of failing. And so that would have been the time to where it's, tight game. It's a champ series. So it's the most important game of the year. It's kind of sets us up for the rest of the series. And Reese just went up there and was hacking because she believed in herself. So I think it was just a turning point for us for the rest of the year. If you can do it against Nyjah, you can do it against anybody, but then especially on an intentional walk, that's just insane. So it came at the right time, and I'm really happy that she just stepped out and took a risk.
So cool.
It was so cool.
So cool.
Just the confidence that this group had, like the mental strength really showed in my view. And I know you guys talked about resiliency a lot this season. But you just said it, doing it against Nyjah, who we know all of her accolades, and Tegan went toe to toe with her. You guys went up against her, but then also, getting over that hump, beating OU in the state of Oklahoma for the first time with head coach Mike White. You said it. And I keep referring to this because I loved it when you were like, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And, OU in that case maybe considered the man. Nyjah considered the man. I asked you this right afterwards. But what do you think it was, really, that got you guys there and through all of that?
I think it was just a combination of things. I mean, we really are one of the most talented teams physically in the country. And so they always talk about that. They're like, we don't even worry about the physical part. So it's like, how do we master this mentally? And we've worked with people all year, and I worked with those people more personally and just kind of working on my game and how I can be a good leader and things like that. But also sometimes just mastering like what helps you and then relaying that information to others. So I think that we did a really good job this year of taking our time to actually talk to one another and get to know each other on a more personal level. And so when you leave the field, you love each other. And when you're on the field, you trust and love each other. So in that OU game, I mean, Tegan was going through losing her grandmother. And so that was really hard on us. And I think Tegan took it better than I did. We just love each other so much and just rallied around one another. But yeah, I think that, each game you win at the World Series is just like a confidence boost in itself. I mean, we came in, punched Florida, and then we punched OU, and it's like, what can't we do? We knew that the Nyjah thing was kind of imminent coming into the end, that was a possibility. But, we're just kind of sticking to our game, trusting ourselves and believing in our ability to do what we do.
I always say this for people that have not played in Oklahoma City, but I did not win a national championship. So I can imagine it's on another level for a national championship team. But talk about like what's in the air in Oklahoma City and just how it makes like each team just feel more united than ever. And more like just everyone seems more bought in. Like I know it's the end, but it just seems like something is in the air where all the magic is firing. And obviously all of it was right on tune for you guys. So just talk about how special it feels and how you just want to like bottle it up. It's just the best feeling ever.
Yeah, I think a lot of that just comes from, who you're doing it for. And so I appreciated that some of our younger teammates were saying they wanted to do it for the seniors and that we deserved it, but they also deserve it. So I think us experiencing it last year kind of helped us out this year. Last year we were young and I was new, and so it was like a more nervous thing for us. I don't think we were nervous at all going in this season. And so it's just interesting to see, when you get there, it's kind of like, okay, like you meet up with everybody like at the kind of opening ceremony thing, and you're kind of like, okay, like it's just kind of like you all deserve to be there, but it's just like, okay, what do we do now? Like we got to go play a ball game. So I think we were just really zoned in and focused on what we were supposed to do. And we really cherished all the time that we had. Off days were great. And just kind of focusing on those things. I think that was a little bit of a motivation for our team too. Like, oh, if we win, we get an off day. So I think it's just kind of funny just to see how well we do in tight situations too. And then, you win against Florida, you win against OU, you win against Tennessee. And so, yeah, just pretty cool just getting to be there. And I think we just got to cherish it this year because we had already experienced it and we were really confident that we were going to win it.
Sure.
The motto that you guys had also to fuel the fire. Head coach Mike White, he gave the seniors and yourself some credit in terms of coming up with that as a group. Again, you and I talked about this in OKC, but for this audience, can you explain what FIRE, what that acronym actually stands for, and where it came from?
Sure. So I came up with fuel the fire, just the 3 words itself. I'm kind of like a little more aggressive when it comes to things like that. And so I was like, what's something that I could I can make this really inspirational. And so I just threw that out there to the seniors. He, kind of told us 6 or 7 of us like, hey, go ahead and just put this together. And then, we'll have our little retreat and we'll present it to the coaches, to the team. And so I sent that in the group chat. I was like, what about fuel the fire? And then we were like, okay, yeah. And then we had to make this PowerPoint about what it meant. We get to our retreat and we're like, this is not we don't like this. And so we sat down and with the whole team, we were like, okay, we're going to start from scratch. And we deleted every single slide. And the only thing we left was the title. And so we were talking about the things that it takes to be a Longhorn and a good ball player, good person, things like that. The whole team came up with everything. And then somebody was like, why don't we make FIRE an acronym? So F is fight for each other. I is intent with every action. R is respect, and that's in all aspects. That's each other, the game, the process, things like that. And E is exemplify what it means to be a Longhorn. So my favorite part of it is, and why it's so special to me, is that we really sat down and we said, nobody's going to buy in if they're not a part of it. And we've kind of experienced that before where it was made up by other people. And we were like, well, we don't know what this means. And they'd always ask us, hey, what do we need to do this, and this? And we had no idea. So it was really neat seeing us, that be the first thing that we did together this year was come up with this motto and come up with what it stands for.
I love that. Hard to buy in, when you're not a part of it. I think that's so perfectly said. And when it's team ran, obviously, you guys believe in it just a little bit more. It just means more, some might say. Also, you guys, the SEC taken, a little bit of credit, but, you guys are obviously first timers in the SEC, winning another national championship for the SEC, first time in 10 years. So how was it just going through that SEC schedule this year? And how different was it from previous years?
I honestly think that we were pretty grateful for it. We knew it was going to be tough, but I think it set us up for the postseason when we knew it was going to be the toughest. And when pretty much everything started over. So yeah. I think we got a little bit of, they're going to come to the SEC and they've been in the Big 12 and they're going to struggle. And well, I think everybody struggles in the SEC. So it's not like it was going to be anything new. And we're both 2 talented programs, us and OU. And it's kind of like we were the last 2 teams at the end of the season. Just because you change a conference doesn't mean that your team changes. So I'm really happy for both teams, especially because, we both ended up where we wanted to be. And okay, yeah, we struggled in the postseason a little bit and a little bit, there in the conference regular season. So I think it just set us up to be successful at the end of the year and saying, hey, we've done a bunch of the hard stuff. What did we learn from that? And what can we do now?
Totally.
The theme that keeps coming up for me, not just for your team, but for you in particular, is that resiliency piece, that you're not afraid of challenges. And I know your mom talked to me about this and we talked about it a little bit too, but just your health journey to even get here, to even be able to compete. You said you didn't know if you'd be here, let alone be playing softball. And look at you now, so if the current version of you could go back in time to when you were at your lowest, what do you think you would say to yourself?
I'd be really surprised. Just not even from a personal standpoint of me being competitive and tough and resilient, just from the point of where I was at. It was really scary and I had never heard of anything like it before. And you're just kind of in the dark. And especially when I first got diagnosed with it, they had no idea why it was happening. And so it's kind of a continuation of, is it going to keep happening? Am I ever going to get to a point where this stops? And so especially during that time too, my parents were just, they were just beside themselves. And I'm saying, hey, like, I'm going to do my best to take care of myself. I don't want you to worry, which of course I'm not a parent, so I can't tell them not to worry. But I will say that, they supported me through everything, and they tried to get me to move home. And I said, I think the last thing that I need is to be away from my friends and be away from school. And at that point, I'd kind of become a little independent. And I think I was trying to prove my independence as well by saying, hey, let me take care of myself. But yeah, I had a fantastic doctor, and he actually really just helped me so much. He was, trying to teach me some of the medical stuff because he knew I wanted to work in the healthcare field later on. And then, of course, my Notre Dame family was so supportive as well. So I had a lot of support throughout my whole journey. And, the first year I came back, I was talking about this yesterday, where my first year back, I was saying, no, this is a grateful thing. I'm not worried about my skill set. I'm not worried about how well I do this year. This is just me taking it all in, because at any point I could relapse or whatever it might be. So just being very grateful for it. And then once I got to a point to where I was officially in remission, then I was like, okay, we could take the time, we could work on our skill set. And then I pretty much said, hey, I've got a goal and I want to play for a national championship. So leaving that kind of behind me and then just working on what was in front of me. And so I had this opportunity to enter the portal and come to Texas. Very grateful for that. I mean, Coach White and Coach Singh called me within like 12 minutes of entering the portal. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, this is everything that I wanted. So it's just like piece by piece. I'm very grateful. And I look back now and I'm just like, wow, if I can get through that, I can get through absolutely anything.
Yeah, we play a game of failure, but obviously you having that huge perspective piece, like what do you think that does for you when you go through the highs and lows of our sport of just hitting can be really hard and thrown in your face about how hard it is, but fighting for your life is much harder and dealing with real life things are much harder. So how do you think that just has helped you throughout your career of just having that perspective and feeling thankful even in the failure moments?
Well, I will say that, things like this, when they happen, it's, hard for other people to kind of be grateful for it. And I'm extremely grateful for it. Circumstances might not be the greatest, but then again, it taught me so many lessons about myself and how tough I am. So just recognizing that in those tough moments, that if I get a strikeout, that it's not the end of the world and that I can fix it. So just being, I think, extremely grateful for that and taking it out of the softball competitive perspective and putting into the life perspective. It's really neat just to see all the things that I've conquered and the things that I've learned about myself, even this year, like just not being as hard on myself. And I had one of my best years. And so just understanding and wishing I could go back and not be as hard on myself, but understanding that that's just part of life. And I'm glad that I learned it before I finished playing softball.
That is so well said. It's crazy to think that you're just exiting college, because the perspective that you have is something that, a lot of people, it might not have till later in life, so I feel like you are wise beyond your years at this point. But I guess I would also ask you, what do you want people to know about your team and your teammates that maybe they don't already know? We've obviously touched on some things, but there's that behind the scenes stuff too that really gets you guys to where you want to go, both on and off the field.
I think a big thing, we always laugh about this, but our practices are so like unserious. Like, I think if people saw us practice, they would be like, that team's that good. Like, it's just so funny just to see us like bond and be just so lighthearted when it comes to softball and practice and moments like that. And when it gets to a game, we're just super intense. But I think one thing I'd like to recognize about this team specifically, especially with most of us returning from last year, was just seeing the growth that we had. And I don't know if it was just a team dynamic change or if everybody was like, okay, we got so close last year, we don't want to feel like that again. We need to work a little bit harder this year. But the growth that I've seen this year out of this team was just insane. I mean, we all grew close together. We were working harder in the weight room. We're working harder at practice, even if it was just still lighthearted. But everybody seemed to take their time to do extra, and it was very noticeable this year. Last year, it was just kind of like you're begging people to go work extra. You're begging people to put some extra work in. And even outside of just softball, we read books this year, and I saw people, taking the time to read them when they were going through a slump or things like that. And so it's really neat just to see the process of us trying to get better outside of the softball world. So putting in that extra work and taking the time to kind of work on our mental state too. So it was really cool just seeing the difference from last year to this year, and then us having a different result.
So good. Well, lastly, what is next for you? What's next after college softball, and what does that look like? And where can all of the D1 softballers continue to follow you?
On a more professional level, I do want to work in the healthcare field. So I'll be starting nursing school in the fall, and it's a quick program. So get into the job market after that. And my ultimate goal is to become a nurse anesthetist, a CRNA. And so work for a couple of years as a nurse and then attend anesthesia school and then do that hopefully for a while. In the softball world, I'm hoping to be, well, one, I've kind of found this love for being a mentor. This company reached out to me and I've been doing some mentoring here and there with some girls who want to kind of have a dream like me. So hoping I can continue that and then also just kind of sticking my head back in just to coach here and there. When I come home, I'm going to give lessons and do camps and things like that. And I've already been asked to be coaches of travel teams that I used to play for and things like that. So really neat just to still be a part of the game, especially where I'm from, middle of nowhere, Arkansas, and just hoping that I can spread my love for the game to others.
So cool, Joley. Well, congratulations again. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and giving us some inside scoop to this national champion squad.
Thank you so much.
Nothing like a natty and nothing like the first for your program.
So cool to hear from Joley and just hear about how exciting it was to win their first national championship. I mean, just what a journey, especially that Joley's had, but just really cool. And of course, we had to have a champion on the last podcast.
Of course,
yes.
Of course, always. And there were so many moments that led up to that moment. Mm-hmm. That were so fun to watch, really, even across all 8 teams, just the entire journey to get there. And it was a little hard to pick our plays of the week this time around, but we did it. So let's get into it. All right, mine is first, and we talked about this earlier, but have to give it its moment again. And that is Reese Atwood hitting in the winning runs during an intentional walk. And it's crazy to say out loud, but let's just take a look at it one more time.
3 home runs here at the series. Gets hits a pitch, and she will drive in a pair. Texas has the lead on her first hit of the World Series.
That's the crazy part too. 0 for 10 so far in the World Series. That was her first hit. And you said it, Amanda, might be the difference maker for winning.
I am still like, I seriously have goosebumps right now. Like, it was the coolest thing ever. You could sense like, oh, whoa, that pitch was way too close.
Yes.
And then like, just like you said, 0 for 10 and in the national championship and still having enough confidence to swing at probably a ball, but a little too over the plate. Like, unbelievable. She had said in her post-game interview, like Coach White says all the time, like, it's going to take someone taking a big risk to make this happen. And like, what a risk that was, but she had all the confidence to do it. Oh my God, it was so cool. I was like, Reese, you're the coolest person I've ever in my life. Like, that was literally so cool. Like, electric.
And like the control she had, a lot of people might pop up in that situation, right?
Totally. Great point.
Yeah. Over swinging or whatever, but just to hit it hard on the ground. Like, now I have goosebumps, honestly.
Like, so seriously, so insane. And let that be a lesson for younger softball players. 1, if you're intentionally walking someone, don't make it close. And 2, if you're going to swing, you better get the job done or else it will be embarrassing.
Yes. It's so true. I mean, I think that we should get the green light more on 3-0 counts, but the same rule applies. This is just next level. I mean,
like, I did that once, like in a high school game, and we were already winning by a lot. Like,
Right.
and that's the only reason why I did it. There is no way that I would ever like have enough confidence to do that. I seriously like am in awe of her. It was the coolest thing ever.
My new favorite meme is just the one that's circulating. It's just her headshot. And it's like, if I send you this, it means I'm not walking. I'm like,
love it, love it, love it.
So
love
good. I'm not walking home. It's so funny.
No,
and
so funny.
Credit to Nyjah too for taking full responsibility. Not everybody in that situation would, but she like no excuses, was like, that's on me, apologized to my team, and then moved forward the next day and got the win. So credit to that too, but just guts from Reese Atwood.
Yes. So good. That is probably the play of the year. But for my play of the week, we have another one that might have been the play of the year before Reese's big swing.
Oh my goodness, they missed a steal of home. Garcia broke for the plate. Ramirez didn't see it. Texas Tech literally steals a run.
Stunning. All the way on the pitch. Ramirez doesn't even look at her at all, and she dives in between her legs. She's going on the pitch, and Valdez stands there trying to block the sight of Ramirez as well. She's in the box, not doing anything wrong. What a gutsy call from Jerry Glasgow to score the first run of this game.
I mean, perfectly said by Amanda Scarborough. She does such a great job. But Michaela Garcia still in the winners bracket game against UCLA, World Series powerhouse, Texas Tech first timer, 5th inning, 0-2 count, 2 outs. Why don't we just steal home for the first run of the game? Why don't we, Michaela Garcia? And just like sliding through lefty's legs, like seriously unbelievable. And anybody who knows Jerry Glasgow or has played for Jerry Glasgow, this was not shocking.
Yeah.
Not shocking at all. Like so cool to see it happen and like happen like on their side and like be a successful. But like he loves being gutsy like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing is him shocking people is not shocking. Yes, no. You're 100% right about that.
Not in the slightest, but just so cool. Another risk that had to be taken, and that's what you have to do on the biggest stage.
A pinch runner too. Pinch running. And he told her just straight up, he said it in the press conference after, he's like, I just told her to go kamikaze. Like, get in there. Go for it. And then honestly, her going just straight through the legs is so cold. Like that is
sick.
So cool. Yeah. She's also a Lubbock native. So she talked about like how proud she was to represent. I thought that was extra cool too about this moment. But yes, ton of trust it took on both sides, Jerry and her, to be able to pull that off.
For sure.
Yeah. Whew. I did get goosebumps for real as well, Amanda, while talking about both these plays all over again.
Literally so good. I loved it.
It's insane. And also hard to pick this time around, but we do have our win and whiff of the week. First, we'll start with the win, which is quite literally a win this time around. Of course, Texas softball getting its first national championship. Being the first is always special, especially when you've been so close before. So let's just take a look at that final moment.
Ground ball, backhanded by Good, over to first. And you can light up the UT Tower burnt orange. Texas is finally bringing the championship home to Austin. On their 8th try at the World Series, Texas has a title. And on his 8th try, Mike White has championship. And the SEC will win a title for the first time in a decade.
I mean, the moment, right?
Yeah.
The moment.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch them celebrate the first. Obviously, I expected a little bit more of a dog pile. That is my only critique of the situation. But other than that, just so amazing and huge congrats to the Texas Longhorns.
For sure. I mean, I did step in mud on the field afterwards because of just the Gatorade bath that they gave to Mike White. So I'll give him that.
Yes.
On the celebration, but I think it was just cool to watch. Seeing, the University of Texas is in the top 5 in the country in national championships across the board, and softball is now part of that legacy.
Yes.
That part is very, very cool. Seeing people like your GM, the Volts GM, Kat Osterman, crying, watching it on TV because she's one of the ones who came before. Like those things are just, it's what it's all about.
I love it.
Yeah. Shout out to Game 3 of the Champ Series, the most watched college softball game ever. 2.4 million viewers, peaking at 2.7. Incredible.
Everyone watches women's sports. At least all the cool people do.
Exactly. Everyone who matters watches women's sports.
Exactly. Well, a less fun note, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but our whiff of the week, I will let play here.
Looking for her first hit of the World Series. Grant, first pitch swinging, and she sends it out, and UCLA ties it up with 2 outs in the top of the 7th.
So they're looking at 2 elements here. One is whether or not the runner touched home plate on her initial pass. It looks to me like she may have missed it. And then the second issue is whether or not she was physically assisted by her teammates. However, the rule specifies they can't be physically assisted by a runner who has not yet crossed the plate. So this is going to be a tough interpretation for the replay officials.
After review, the calling on the field is upheld, and the run will score. The runner did miss home plate and was assisted. However, that play is not reviewable according to Appendix G.
Wow. Okay, there's just so many things. First of all, Megan Grant, huge swing in the top of the 7th to tie the game, to save their season, right? Yes. And then you just I just hate that her missing home plate ruined that moment. Hate. And I love for her that it didn't get overturned, because that is just heart-wrenching. You never want that for somebody. But it's a lesson to all of us. You have to touch home plate.
Yeah.
That's literally your only job after you hit it, is to touch all the bases. You can go as slow as you want. You can walk. You don't have to run fast. You just have to touch all the bases. And then for Tennessee was correct. She didn't touch home.
Yeah.
And then she got assisted. And for it not to be a reviewable play, that's why we have replay, is to just get the calls right. In my opinion, you have to touch home.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, she should have been out. You got to touch home. And so for it to you can blatantly see it on video that she did not, and she got assisted by a teammate that was not involved in the play.
Right.
And so therefore should have been out if the umpires saw it with their eyes. But since it had to be reviewed, I never was I've never been so fired up with Karen Weekly. never been on the same side. I was with her. And I saw, lawyer Aubrey Leach was right there too. I was like, get
rule book out. Yeah.
She's so smart, and she was in there, and I was like, Aubrey, we were with you, girl. With you. But the game knows. Tennessee ends up taking the game. So hey, ball don't lie.
That's what I was going to say too. I'm glad it shook out the way that it did. To your point, it would be devastating. Megan Grant's mom told me her first home run she ever hit over a fence was called back to in her life, when she was a kid. So she's just for that reason, even happy it didn't happen. But
and Megan Grant is such a good kid.
She's
so awesome. This has nothing to do with her, and like I enjoyed
Totally.
her so much. Like I did not want this to happen for her, but a rule is a rule.
A rule is a rule. That's the thing. It's unacceptable to miss it. Also, like she did hit a big home run. It's not like it was a playable ball.
Yep.
So for Tennessee to, you know, in a way, it's good. It's not you're winning on a technicality. They left no doubt. I just think it shook out the way that it was meant to. But and then the call itself, you're right. It's like to review it for so long just to say it's not reviewable. That was what was crazy. And to admit, like, actually, yes, the call was wrong. Like, do we have to say that? Could we have left that out? You know, like, I don't know.
So bad.
Insane. But, you know, so many insane moments to wrap up this season for sure. And in terms of what's next, you know, the D1 team is going to be here. Softball coverage this summer. Still a lot of ball going on with the college summer leagues. Pro, of course, with AUSL and Amanda, international travel ball, etc. You can keep on top of the transfer portal. We do have the D1Softball transfer tracker that gives you the ability to sort by all of the information, class, position, school. You can look at stats. It's all there for you to keep up with it. And then you can follow our social channels at D1Softball and read about all of it on D1Softball.com. But of course, let's highlight again watching the Volts in the inaugural AUSL season and supporting USA Softball, by the way, this summer with you, Amanda, for sure. But the season 25 discount code is still a reward for all of you who stuck around this long. You can get 25% off subscriptions for D1Softball with that code season 25. Don't forget. Last thing I will say before we head out for the last time is for D1 Baseball, you know, the Men's College World Series is upon us, and D1Baseball.com, they've got your back too with coverage. So to follow along the rest of the way for this one in Omaha, check out D1Baseball.com. But other than that, thank you all for joining us for this entire season. Once again, it was incredible. It was insane. It was indescribable in a lot of ways, but thank you for being on the journey.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next season.